Hello, I'm going to compare my collection of cheap keyboards for you here. I'm primarily reviewing the pale blue one, the YIQI, that's YIQI YQ85, YIQI YQ85. Right now we're looking at the E-Yooso Z-11. Let's begin with the lighting effects. I had to refer to my instructions. The Z11 has so few physical keys that it needs 2 function buttons to be pressed to access the lighting. It's a 60% keyboard. The flickering is a sync issue with my camera. The lights are solid in real life. I like plain boring lights. That's why I saved a few quid by buying the single colour yellow lighted Z11 when the RGB version is better reviewed, as well as being firmware compatible with a certain Red Dragon. I don't know why you need to flash your keyboard firmware. It is a gaming keyboard, very compact, so maybe macros are the reason why. I haven't reviewed the Z11 separately, but I've been using it for several months. It's super robust and comfortable, but also cramped and can be awkward using the function keys. The YIQI YQ85 didn't have any reviews on AliExpress when I bought it. Instructions are on the back of the box, but I bought a Portuguese keyboard and the box appeared to describe the American model. Nothing to worry about, the markings are there on the keys. The knob on the top right controls volume automatically, no drivers or calibration required. Push it to mute. This is convenient except where you need multi-channel mixing capabilities. In a moment I'll demonstrate another couple of keyboards for control purposes. I'll be looking at a £15 blue switched 80% 10 keyless, that's DKL Felicon K2. The final keyboard is my regular work keyboard. It's a membrane keyboard, but it has the preferred British laptop layout. Most important for me is the double height enter key. I'm just about to type the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog with my best touch typing. People care about their keyboard sounds, so I'll play the original unfiltered audio for the test, including the sound of my PC in the background. Let's compare sizes quickly. The TKL is relatively huge and still can feel inadequate without the numpad. Perspective is skewed by the close-up camera, but I have aligned the left-hand sides. The keys are all standard sized, so there should be no surprises about the sizes. I'm taking apart the YIQI now. Fast forward and the 2 screws are out from the back. I don't know if you need to remove them, but removing these 2 alone isn't enough to get inside it. Flipping it over, I see several small crosshead screw faces behind the keys, the tight keys. I start pulling keys. I try a thin screwdriver through the cracks, but half the screws aren't even visible through the cracks. It may be worth pulling more keys than I eventually do, because my screwdriver was abrading the remaining nearby keys. I feel I'm the first to review the YIQ85, so I have to write the service manual here. Skipping ahead, all relevant keys are gone and there were no hidden surprises. No screw behind the enter key. On the rear I find lots of flux residue and solder splatters. I'll clean this because solder can create a short and flux can corrode the conductors eventually. The flux is concentrated around each switch's silver pad. The black plastic lug centres the switch. The controller is based on an Intel 8051 microcontroller. It's labelled Sino Wealth SH685F90AU-00997. This freeze frame of it shows some of the stray solder blobs. They're not serious because the tracks that they would short are insulated by protective lacquer. The boxed in, and circularly boxed in, cross-shaped shaft on the YIQ85 switches suggests they are Utimu dust-proof switches. The shroud is meant to block dust. I don't think I'll ever need to change the switch. When I opened the board, I naively tried measuring the switches. There shouldn't be any difference in the electromechanical interface on keyboard microswitches. They mostly follow the Cherry MX pattern. The big difference comes between PCB mounts and plate mounts. The ones on the YIQ85 here go through a plate, so are termed plate mount, and have a couple less lugs than the PCB mount type. It's easy enough to remove redundant lugs with nail clippers if you get the wrong ones. There are subtle visual and tactile differences between brands. As well as longevity, the Cherry MX switches come with 100 million keystroke expected lifetime, whereas the rest are about 50 million. The switches are 14.5mm by 15.5mm. Measuring their height from the back of the PCB, they come in at 12mm, and the PCB itself is 1mm. Here's a spare switch that came with the E-Yooso. I put a YIQ85 keycap on it, and it is a tight and perfect fit. I measured these switches and they are the same. The contacts will be the same too, they all follow the Cherry MX standard. The keycap fit despite the YIQI coming with razor style curved dust filters. The keycap measurement is more interesting. It's 11.5mm tall and 18mm on the other two dimensions. I rearranged my keycaps to more closely resemble the British layout. I didn't want to have to buy a set of keycaps, as hardly any are British. Can you spot where keycap dimensions have changed yet? It's the last white keys in the third and fifth columns. This is my final layout. If it looks bigger than my old keyboard, it's only because it's a much deeper keyboard. This is what the PCB looked like after scraping away flux and solder with a flathead screwdriver. Take care that the corner of the blade doesn't scratch the conductor away. I know I scratched the insulation a little. This is the PCB after dusting and dabbing with acetone. Of course it was never broken. The cleanup is just insurance to keep it working. Knowing how easy it is to replace these switches, I now prefer this to my Z11. The Z11 is cheap, it's got a metal body, and it's very compact. Thanks for watching.